Yes, need a bit of that. Hello Facebook, hello YouTube. I hope everybody is happy and well. Just saying to our friends here on Instagram that today is going to be all about ways to bust stress. We're going to talk about adaptogenic herbs. I've got a great guest joining me, Ed van Diem, I never know how to pronounce his surname, Harmelen, Edward van Harmelen, who is the fab founder of Youth and Earth. Talking about all sorts of really interesting biohacks to keep the stress levels down and all sorts of other things actually that I've been travelling with. Very nice to see you. Hi Mary, hi Jane, hi Rainey. So, as I was saying to my friends on Instagram, I'm here working in Kenya. I have had a bit of a stressful morning, I will not lie. We had such bad thunderstorms here across Nairobi, and it knocked out a lot of the power. We had power cuts last night. The internet went down. I was supposed to be recording for YouTube earlier on today, and I just couldn't get connected. So I set everything up. I moved to my friend's office here. Thankfully, they are off, I think they're on safari somewhere, so they have let me in, and I have hopefully, fingers crossed, got really good connectivity. So let us hope that everything is going to go well. I wonder whether we've got Ed in the house. Shall we see? Shall we see if we can crack on? He is not here just yet, but I'm sure he will be joining momentarily. So as I said, we're going to be talking about stress, and actually a couple of the things that I've brought with me. This is one of my travel bags, and this is a great brand, Bed of Nails. Okay, I know it looks a bit scary. This is actually my travel one. So I've got two little things in here. First of all, this is what I use for my neck. So this is something that you can put over a cushion or a pillow, and I use this to lie on like that, and oh my goodness, actually it feels great. I quite like to stay like this. And it was Lily, my eldest daughter Lily, who is, I'm sure you may know by now, has this chronic pain and autoimmune condition which is so debilitating. And she's been using one of these for the last couple of years, and I always thought, oh my goodness, that's just so weird, how does it work? But as you may have remembered from my Instagram lives and Facebook YouTubes with the founder of Bed of Nails, who also had a really bad health issue that she sorted out with this, what it has is these little spiky prongs, and they don't actually puncture the skin, obviously, and if you're a bit nervous about it, you can wear something like a really thin t-shirt, or you can just do it, straight onto your skin. And it encourages the release of endorphins, and it helps to minimize pain, and it reduces stress levels, and it's unbelievably rejuvenating, and it's really, really good. So I actually travel with this, and it's, it's tiny. Look, you can just roll it up into nothing. It's very light. Throw that in my bag. And then this one, this is kind of my Bed of Nails. And this normally, when you buy this from their website, and we do have a Liz Loves discount, by the way, which is, let me just tell you, 15%. Liz Loves, in capitals, gets you 15% off everything on Bed of Nails, if you want to go and have a look. This actually comes, as you can see, it's got an opening. So when you buy it, it has a really lovely, thick mat. So you can use that, you can put it on the floor, and it's a really good base to lie on. Or if you're traveling, and you don't want the extra bulk in your case, then you can just take the pad out, and then you've just got this sort of piece of fabric. And you can put this, if you put it on the bed, which I do sometimes, then obviously the mattress gives that nice soft cushioning. Or if you're a bit more hardcore, you can put it straight on the floor or on like a yoga mat and lie on that, with or without clothing, depends. Or you can use it for your feet, you can keep it under your desk while you work, and you can just, press up and down on it. You can just rest your feet lightly on it. You can actually stand on it if you're feeling brave. Who else has got one of these? Who else loves their Bed of Nails? I have to say, it's almost like a healthy addiction once you start using them. And it's just very rejuvenating. It's very calming. I find it really helps with stress. As I say, encourages those endorphins, those happy chemicals in the brain. Thank you very much, Rachel, for popping up the code on Facebook. So as you probably know by now, we can't link on Instagram, but we do put stuff in the bio on Instagram. Or of course, you can head over to Liz Earle Wellbeing website. And if you look at Liz Loves, there's a whole list of all sorts of really great stuff that my team have got special deals on if you want to, some of my favourite things. And then obviously on Facebook, we can link directly. So thank you very much for that. Okay, who's this? The green juice lady. I love my Bed of Nails. I have 2 sets. So good. Yeah, absolutely. Lisa says, I need this as a sufferer of neck pain, causing terrible headaches. Absolutely. I'm the same. You know, I think because I do so much computer work and I hunch over like this and I'm really bad at kind of stretching out. And I just find that it is really, really good for that. And of course, Lily has really chronic and acute migraine, and she uses it for that. She uses it for migraine relief or migraine relief. So yeah, give it a go. Have a look at some of the testimonials actually on their website. They've got some really good independent reviews from people who've tried it for all sorts of different reasons. So I do think it's a good brand. That's why it's a Liz Loves. Molin Chan says it helps the acupressure points on the back. Yeah, definitely. Really, really good. Okay, so let's see whether we have Ed yet. No, I don't have Ed. Rachel, you're on Facebook. Do you want to maybe ping Ed a message? I'm hoping I'm working in the right time zone. I think I am. I've had to reset all my diary because, of course, I'm 3 hours ahead here. So I was missing all kinds of appointments. So hopefully he will send a little request to join and then I can get going with him. It's 12 o'clock. What is 12 o'clock? Is it 12 o'clock here, not 12:30? Oh, my goodness, I got my time wrong. That's why he's not here. Oh, my goodness. Do you think, Betty, do you think he can join us? I'm really sorry about that. It's just, I mean, I would blame the sun and say I had too much sun, but actually it's not particularly sunny, so I can't even blame that. Maybe it's the thunder, maybe it's the lunar cycle or something. Really sorry, guys, I've caught you all out. Thank you. So Betty's going to make contact. Meantime, I shall carry on starting. I'm sorry, Trisha. Yeah, I came on half an hour early. That shows how keen I am. I think I was a bit discombobulated because having not been able to get on the Wi-Fi, as soon as I was set up here, I was like, right, this is great. So Youth and Earth, which is Ed's company, has some really, really brilliant things. And as you know, I'm a big fan of NMN. This is the little packet that travels with me. I have it every morning. And also, I really like their glutathione. So I did the nutrigenomic test, the Life Code GX test, and that showed me that I don't have the genes that process glutathione. It's something that we make, and I was able to find that by kind of doing that little genetic test. And so I started taking glutathione, which is the master antioxidant, really good for energy. Again, very good for stress because, you know, if you have more energy, you feel more able to cope with everything. So I have taken it with me. So Youth and Earth have a very good liposomal glutathione, mango flavoured, which is really nice because actually on its own it tastes a bit sulphury. So I have been using that all the time that I've been here, and I actually ran out. So I went into a health food shop down in downtown Nairobi. There's a really good chain of health food shops here called Healthy You. And you may have seen on my Instagram, I popped a little kind of behind the scenes looking at so many of my favourite brands that are here. Things like Optibac and Better You. And yeah, you know, a lot of them are here, but I didn't find Youth and Earth. I think it's mainly a British thing. And I did find the Ultrient C liposomal glutathione, which is also something that I really like. It's the one that comes in the little sachets. But oh my goodness, so expensive. One dose here was about £6.50 in those little sachets because they sell them individually. And I looked at buying a box. I thought, oh, there's a box of those. I'll add those to my shopping basket. And it was like over £100. So I thought, maybe not. I know I really like it, but not. Anyway, so I've got Brella coming out next week. So I hopped online to Youth and Earth. I used my Liz Loves 20% discount. And really good news is that they already had a sale on some of their supplements. And I thought, I wonder if the Liz Loves code works on top of that. So I tried it. And yes, I got 20% off the sale price, which I thought was a really good deal. So double duty. So I've ordered some liposomal glutathione and I had it sent special delivery so it would go directly to her quickly and can be popped into her suitcase. So hopefully I will be back with this. Yeah, I will. Okay, so we've got some questions here already about liposomal glutathione and fasting and all those kinds of things. Do they deliver to Jersey? I don't know, but they have very good customer care. So if you want to hop onto their website, they do, I think they do live chat, and they have very good direct message service on Instagram, and I'm pretty sure they've got a Facebook page as well. So yeah, so do ask if you've got any specific queries relating to your own personal health issues or personal delivery or whatever. then yeah, please do that. Okay, so Tropic by Catherine is asking here, quick question about which olive oil to cook with. Can I use extra virgin or is that just for salads? That's a really good question. I've been doing quite a bit of research into different types of cooking oil, and the more I read and research about the seed oils, so things like sunflower, safflower, corn, it's like such a big no-no in terms of encouraging inflammation in the body, which is not something we want to do at all. We want to have anti-inflammatory ingredients and foods. And extra virgin olive oil just comes top of the list all the time. It's a monounsaturated, so it's very stable for cooking, and it also has lots of polyphenols in, so it's very, very good for gut health. And they're now saying actually that they think one of the reasons why the Mediterranean diet is so protective for things like heart disease and Alzheimer's and type 2 diabetes and all of those things is because it has these polyphenols which help protect against inflammation. So I use olive oil pretty much for everything. If I'm cooking, I tend not to use my extra virgin because that is quite expensive, so I just use a regular olive oil. But you can use it for cooking, absolutely. So yeah, so the seed oils definitely have gone from my kitchen. I don't have sunflower, safflower, any of those seed oils. I just have different types of olive oil, and I use that for everything. Salad dressings, I put it onto veggies. So if I'm making my green veggies, if I'm having brassicas, things like cabbage, sprouts, all of that, then I put olive oil on that, and that's actually been shown to increase the bioavailability of the nutrients in your greens. So I now have a bit of olive oil on the table as well. So I encourage, all my kids, if they're having a bit of broccoli or whatever, just to drizzle some olive oil over that so that you get more out of it. You get more out of your regular veggies. Yeah, cold pressed rapeseed. That's an interesting one. Rapeseed is a seed oil. So I'm doing a bit more research into that. It is monounsaturated, so it's not a polyunsaturated, so it's more stable for cooking, definitely. But it is a seed oil. So I think I need to do a little bit more research on that. But for the moment, I'm just sticking with my olive oil. Avocado oil. Avocado is so expensive though. Oh my goodness. It's a lovely oil. But I would just use that for salads and things, like pumpkin seed oil. That's a really nice oil as well. And walnut oil. That's got some really nice omega-3s in it. DHA, for example, which is really good. Smoke point. Yeah, smoke point, you need, something that's very stable at high temperature. Hemp oil, I'm not a fan of hemp, to be really honest. They always say, well, it's got lots of omega-3s, but yeah, it does contain omega-3s, flaxseed and hemp, but they don't convert to DHA in the brain. So I think it's not something I would recommend, actually. I would rather have DHA from algae. If you're a plant-based eater, if you're not eating fish, then make sure that your omega-3s, your DHA is coming from algae rather than from hemp, because you need to make sure it's converting in the body. So all these things that we need to know about. You are very welcome. Right, let me see. Oh dear, Betty, if you've been able to get hold of Ed, he's probably just having a really nice cup of coffee and a snooze or something before my live. Isn't that awful? Dr. Seaweed. Yeah, seaweed. I mean, I've also got my iodine supplements here, so I've been taking those. Although if you're eating lots of fish and seafood, again, you're likely to be getting plenty of... Betty, no response from Ed. Oh, I'm sorry, poor Ed. What else? Well, let me just answer some questions. Let's just get going, because Ed will be with us in 15 minutes until he joins us. Okay, so other stress busters. So I've mentioned my bed of nails. Now, the opposite to a bed of nails, which is these little kind of prickly things, is your weighted blanket. Who got a weighted blanket? So we still have the deal on with Calm Koala, and they are great. I mean, I bought weighted blankets. I gave a lot of them actually as Christmas presents for my kids. So anybody who struggles with anxiety and stress, and I know that weighted blankets and weighted jackets are used by a lot of children with spectrum disorders. So they just really help calm the parasympathetic nervous system. So it's a really simple way to keep calm. You can have a weighted blanket, you can have it on your sofa, so you can just wrap it around you if you're snuggled up watching TV, or you can have it on your bed. So my youngsters, they just have a sheet with a weighted blanket on top, or you can put it on top of a duvet if you're cold. And that is a really, really good idea. So Calm Koala, and they have now something called Cuddly Therapeutic Weighted Blankets. And the weight that you need depends on your own body weight, and they've got a really good calculation online, so it depends how much you weigh, and obviously, you know, younger children have lighter weighted blankets. But we do have, I think it's 16% off. That's rather good, isn't it? 16% off on Calm Koala, and their website, by the way, is called Cuddly. Isn't that cute? Cuddly, which is KUDD.LY, KUDDLY. And that applies on everything on their website. I think even their sale items. So that is a really good deal if you're after a weighted blanket. And last chance, of course, I was mentioning my glutathione and the fact that I discovered through having a nutrigenomic test that I wasn't processing my glutathione, and I discovered that through my Life Code GX. So we do still have the Life Code GX discounts, but only until the end of the month. So if that's something that you are tempted by or you want to know a bit more about, normally you have to go through a practitioner, through a nutritionist or a functional medicine doctor, but we have a special deal with Life Code GX, and they've got a special package just for us. You'll find the link on LizEarleWellbeing.com, and if you click on that link, it gives you the special package with the special price and a free 30-minute consultation with a practitioner to go through your results, which is really good because it is quite complicated. They have a really good traffic light system, so it says you're red, amber or green, and if you're red, it means that you have a gene expression which is blocking certain nutrients. So it's really, I personally think it's a really good investment, because actually there are some supplements that you might not need that you're taking, and there are others that maybe you're not taking that you do need. So, I mean, to be honest, I'd never really come across glutathione and I wasn't taking it. And it's a master antioxidant, and it's something that we make normally in the body as long as you have the genes that make it. And I don't have them, and actually it is a genetic characteristics. And so when I did the Life Code GX tests for my children, most of them don't have that gene either. I've got 5 kids, so it was, you know, quite an expensive exercise, but super worth it in terms of their long-term health investment, because now I know what they should be focusing on and all the things that can help them, particularly with anxiety. You know, it's extraordinary. Vitamin D levels, for example, which is so linked to anxiety and stress. So yeah, Lisa, so talking about weighted blankets, Pure Heart, the test is nutrigenomic testing, and it's a company called Life Code GX. So I know, Rachel, you popped a link on Facebook for us, but you'll find it on LizEarleWellbeing.com. But do check it out. It's really fascinating, and it is quite an expensive test. It's normally about £400, but I think with our discount, we've got it down to about 330, something like that. Plus you get your free consultation. So it's a really, really good deal. And it, you know, your genes are your genes. They're not going to change. So it doesn't matter when you do this test. You know, you can do it on a 5-year-old, you can do it on somebody who's 95, and you know, it's the same. So in a way, the earlier you can do it, the better, because the better prepared you are. I wish I'd known about this, you know, kind of in my 20s, frankly, because it would have, you know, potentially set me up for better health and well-being. So definitely do take a look at it. So the weighted blanket, if it's cold, I put my weighted blanket on top of my duvet. Yeah, absolutely. But otherwise, I just put it on top of a sheet. Or if I'm sitting on the sofa, you know, we just cuddle up underneath it. So yeah, it depends. Thank you very much. You got, oh my goodness, Nina Baker says she just got her results from Nutrigenomics and she's red for glutathione. You see? So who knew? So now, Nina, if you want glutathione, you're going to have to take it, because your body is not going to be able to make it. So you actually have to give it to your body, ready-made. And the first time I took it, I woke up the next morning feeling so much brighter. I mean, I was feeling well anyway, frankly. I didn't think there was anything wrong with me. But when I woke up, I took it at night, and when I woke up in the morning, I just felt like I'd had new batteries put in me. You know, it was an amazing thing. So now my 2 things, my absolutely must-haves for me personally, I have glutathione at night, which is also very good because it helps detoxify the liver. So if you've had a glass of wine or 2, it's very good for that. And then I have my NMN in the morning, which is my kind of little energy boost. And NMN is really interesting because we lose it as we age. It's a natural thing. So all our youngsters are full of it. And as we age, we lose it, which is, you know, potentially one reason why we feel a bit more fatigued, you know, a bit more stressed out by life, and all of that is because we don't have so much NMN. Now, I have written about that in Earle Wellbeing. I did quite a deep dive feature. I think it was in the last issue, well, the one before last. And don't forget that if you've missed any back issues, you can get the app. We do have a Earle Wellbeing app. And for those who subscribe, you get access to every single back issue that we've ever written. So it's something like 35 issues. And then obviously ongoing as well. So it's a really good way if you want your print copy and then you also want your digital version as well. It's a very good way of catching up on all those other. Lots of people love their weighted blankets, Isabel. Yeah, I think it's really good. So NMN, yeah, look it up. So we might just touch on it with Ed in a minute, because NMN, oh my goodness, am I going to say what it stands for? Little tiny writing on the packet. It stands for nicotinamide mononucleopeptide, okay? Handily shortened to NMN, and it helps repair damaged DNA, and it supports healthy aging, and it is good stuff, I tell you. So the glutathione supplements that I take Youth and Earth, because they're liposomal, but they've been proven to actually be effective. Some of the liposomal supplements, you know, you go online and you look for liposomal supplements and there's a huge variety of price, but of course, as with anything, you do tend to get what you pay for. And there was a court case recently with trading standards, because some of the liposomal supplements were found not to have any liposomes in them at all and be a real waste. So, you know, if you're going to invest in your health, you need to make sure that you're getting the right stuff. Okay, so yeah, definitely worth getting trusted brands. So the two brands that I like, there's Ultrient C, which is from Abundance and Health, and they have the little sachets. They do liposomal vitamin C, liposomal glutathione, all of that, and lots of other things besides, like the butterfat keto, that comes from them. And we've got a Liz Loves discount with them as well, so they're a really good brand. And then Youth and Earth, I find really good value, especially at the moment, because they're on sale and we get 20% off. So, and they do work, you know, they are really good. One of the ways that you can test your liposomes, actually, if you've got a liposomal supplement and you're thinking, oh, I wonder if that's the right one. Liposomes don't dissolve in water. They're actually little tiny bubbles of fat, and they're little microscopic bubbles, and they have nutrients inserted inside them, and that's the delivery system. That means that they don't go through the digestive system, they go straight into your cells. They're absorbed into your cell wall, which is why they're really quick and fast acting and very bioavailable. You don't waste any, it goes straight into your system. But that means they have to be fat soluble, which means they don't dissolve in water. So I'd actually bought some cheaper liposomal liquid, because I thought, it's so expensive, you know, and I give it to my children as well, so I thought maybe there's a cheaper option, so I'll go and try it out. Anyway, so I bought some of this stuff online. The brand will remain nameless, but I tested it in a glass of water and it just dissolved, it just disappeared. So what you want is you want to put some of your liposomal supplement into a little bit of water, give it a swirl around, and it should stay in like a clumpy jelly, like thick liquid. It shouldn't just dissolve into nothing. So that's a really good tip, actually. So yeah, I mean, I think the ingredients depend. So yeah, I do take Ultrient. Yeah. So yeah, methylation. Oh my goodness, methylation is such a big thing. I'd love to do something on methylation. I need to get my head around it. You know, I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a functional medicine expert. I basically am the communicator who talks to all these people who are the experts and glean all their knowledge. So yeah, I'll have to find a methylation expert when my brain cells are feeling up to it. So Grace here is saying, yesterday I was feeling as I was walking through treacle, no energy, and you did Qigong and that really helped. Yeah, so Katie Brindle, the Hayu method, the Hayu Fit, you might remember me doing some Qigong with her. That was a few weeks ago up in my bedroom when I was at home in Mount Kenya. And that's really invigorating. So yeah, go and check that out. She's still got a discount actually, Liz Loves, on her course, which is really good. So Ed is going to be with us in 5 minutes. So Nick says, I've slept so much better since buying a weighted blanket. Yeah, you sleep really soundly. It's just extraordinary. You know, even if you don't have anxiety levels to bring down, it's that weight that just sort of covers your whole body and it stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system. It's a bit like giving yourself a hug. If you could imagine giving yourself a whole body hug all over, That's what it feels like. And it really helps calm. I know a lot of children who have issues with the spectrum disorders, all sorts, autism, dyspraxia, dyslexia, ADD, ADHD, absolutely swear by having a weighted blanket. And what I like about it is it's so simple. It's not invasive. You're not having to take anything, you're not having to do anything. You literally, you just go to sleep under it and it helps you. So, definitely worth trying. Lots of great comments here. Oh, Ed is in the house, is he? Oh, excellent. Thank you. Like my hair. Yeah, it's a bit, I had it done yesterday. You might have seen it on my Instagram stories. I found a great hairdresser in Nairobi. And I was just really conscious that my roots were showing, because I haven't been able to get to the hairdresser in London, obviously, since before Christmas. And so she's made me a bit more of an icy blonde. I'm not sure. I'm used to being a bit more golden. So, yeah, we'll see. Maybe in the sunshine it'll look a bit more golden. Katie Brendel is great, isn't she? Okay, so Ed, I'm going to have to do massive apologies to Ed. Honestly, I blame the time zones. I blame all sorts of things. I blame my Wi-Fi. Hello, Ed.
Hello, Liz. Nice to see you again.
And you, I'm so sorry. I was ahead of myself. I think I was so keen to talk to you.
You started earlier, so no problem.
I started earlier, so I've just been chit-chatting and telling our lovely community here about all sorts of things. I was showing all the things that I travel with, actually, like your NMN, which I take every morning. And I was saying that I ran out of your glutathione. I brought the mango liposomal glutathione here with me. And I've been taking it every night, as I do. And I ran out, and I went to buy some in Nairobi. There's a health food shop here, and they have it in the little individual doses, and it was like £6.50 per dose.
Wow.
So I went onto your website. So you'll see on your website, in fact, I've been tracking my order. I think it got delivered to me or to Brella, because she's coming out later, either later on today or tomorrow morning, and she's bringing some more out for me, because I can't be without it. It's amazing stuff.
Marvellous. Yeah, we will actually be offering sachets at some point in the next few months. We're just trying to find an eco-friendly version, like a non-plasticky sort of version. That's the only thing that's been sort of holding me back. But something is coming very soon, which makes it more flexible, because you can take it when you want.
Rather than having that big glass bottle, which I love.
Exactly.
And I brought it with me because it's invaluable stuff. But I was just talking, actually, I don't know whether you heard, but I know there was a bit of a hoo-ha about people selling liposomal supplements that aren't really liposomes. And I was saying that one of the ways you can tell is if you put it in water, if it just dissolves into a clear liquid, it's not a liposome. And I tested yours, and it stays in this like kind of little globby jelly stuff. I mean, is that a big issue with just people selling fake stuff?
So I mean, something that has happened is that some companies, they make the product. I mean, it's not just the fact that it doesn't dissolve in water. It's obviously the size of the nanoparticles. They've got to fall within a certain size. Right. Now, some companies, they're making kind of like a thicker emulsion type product, so it's the viscosity of the product as well, right? So they're making maybe a thicker emulsiony type product. It doesn't mean it's still not effective. It just might not be as effective as a smaller particle, because the smaller it is, the more likely it is to absorb into the cell. So there has been some controversy around it. But we were able to test every batch. There's a special machine basically gets used that can actually tell, because it's basically kind of like there's a curve on a report that shows you exactly the particles. So not all particles are made the same size. So you might have 20% are like 100 nanometers, and 30% are 150 nanometers. And I think these ones that were tested were in the thousands. So a little bit technical, but there has been.
Well, it's good to know, and it's good to know that you're doing all the testing for us, because these things, they are expensive. And actually, if you're going to invest in them, you actually want to invest in something that's going to work. Otherwise, what's the point? you know.
Absolutely.
It's
and all our liposomes are made in Germany, you know, so I think we know the Germans are extremely precise and proud, so nothing gets past. And we do batches where they fail QAs and they don't go out, you know, so...
Right, interesting.
So, yeah.
So, I wanted to talk to you about a few things today. I know that you've got a really interesting new product, Ashwagandha, which is something that I really want to talk to you about because this herb has just been everywhere and I've been researching it for my magazine as well. Glutathione I've touched on a little bit, and NMN. What I love about your company particularly is not only do you really have proper supplements that are properly tested and that do actually work. You know, you're not a brand that just sells everything. You are very focused, aren't you, on these really kind of biohacking nutrients that help us to live well for longer. So it's the aging thing that you're really into, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, what we know, I mean, aging is a very complex process. You know, I think we've discussed this before in the past. So, you know, we can identify maybe 8 or 9 reasons why we age, and our products try and focus on that. Obviously, there are certain things that as we get older, we naturally no longer produce at the same levels that we produce them.
Yeah.
You know, life happens, and obviously, as the more experience you have, the more things that can sort of affect these levels. So, NAD plus NMN is one of those products. NAD plus is kind of in every living cell, and that naturally declines as we get older. And it's a huge energy carrier, so it's used in all processes of energy. And so that's a very effective product for people that are kind of suffering with low energy.
Yeah.
By the time you're 50, I think you've got half the NAD you had.
Really?
You know, when you're in
It's
your
no wonder we feel
exactly.
tired. I mean, we're doing so much. We're looking after, you know, families, youngsters, older parents, work, stress, all of that. And
yeah.
we've got half the nutrients that we need that give us the energy for it. So is it any wonder that we feel exhausted?
I mean, hopefully if you take the NMN, you'll certainly have more pep in your step. So,
definitely. I love that.
Go.
That's great. I take it every morning. I take it every morning before I do my squats and my push-ups. You know?
Oh, marvelous.
And I really miss it. Before we get on to ashwagandha, tell me a little bit about this, because this is another one that I brought with me. You can probably see I've got half of it left in the bottle. This is resveratrol. Liposomal,
yes. So,
again. What is this doing? Because I just trust you that it's doing great things, but I can't remember exactly why I take it.
So back to, you know, I think we talked before in the past about the blue zones and, you know, these sort of 5 places around the world where people typically live into their 80s, 90s and 100.
Yeah.
And, you know, we can kind of reverse engineer that, and we start to understand that there's these longevity pathways that kind of get activated through lifestyle, through diet, through just basically, you know, just how they live. And one of those that's shown to have a lot of promise is something called sirtuins. And these sirtuins, you can find them typically in things like red wine. So resveratrol is found in red wine. And they are like the CEOs of your cells. So they basically, there's a family of 7, and they basically manage all your cell activity and prioritization. So imagine like a big company and the CEOs sits at the top. That's where the sirtuins sit. And they're known as the longevity gene. So again, that activity of sirtuins drops off as you get older. And of course, you can activate them via healthy lifestyle habits. Calorie restriction is a really great way of activating hot and cold saunas, like sort of gently stressing the body, the things that kind of kick it. So they basically go into kind of protection mode, and you know, they can help protect many organs in the body. So there's a lot of studies that show that these sirtuin activities, sirtuins are very beneficial, but they need NAD as fuel. So it's like basically it's like a tango between the kind of NMN and the trans resveratrol. They kind of work in harmony.
Oh, good. So I can take them together then. There's no issue with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So think of it like the trans resveratrol acts like an accelerator pedal to the sirtuin activity, and the NMN kind of acts like a fuel.
Right, so this is my fuel, and this is making me go faster with my fuel.
Exactly. So
well, I haven't had mine today, so I thought I'd take it. This is wild berry. And do you need to take it at a particular time? Do you suggest taking it morning or night? I mean, is it good in the morning if it's like going to give you energy?
I take it in the morning, just with the NMN. Now,
Okay.
One of the reasons for that, trans resveratrol has quite poor bioavailability. So the fact that it's in that liposomal supplement, that liposomal carrier form, will increase the bioavailability of it, and that's why we have it in liposomal. So you would need to take quite a lot of it in powder form, and if you had it in powder form, you'd probably need to mix it with some type of fat to improve the bioavailability.
Okay.
But with the liposomal, it's kind of delivered.
With the liquid, it's all there. So taking these two together first thing in the morning to kind of wake you up. Obviously, you're not going to take it last thing at night because that might not make you sleep so well. But first thing in the morning would be
absolutely
great. Okay, well, thank you for that. Thank you for that bit of personal advice. Now, I've been talking quite a bit recently with various kind of biohackers, looking at Ayurvedic herbs, looking at ways to reduce stress, to improve everything from hormone health to anxiety to sleep to, pick me up, calm me down, all these adaptogenic herbs. And the one thing that has come up time and time again is this Indian herb called Ashwagandha. It just seems to be like a miracle herb, and I've actually written, I've just finished a feature I've just written for the next issue of Earle Wellbeing because I wanted to drill down into the research. And it's so evidence-based. Again, if you go onto PubMed and you look up ashwagandha, so many studies, aren't there, into the way that this herb really, really works to improve our well-being, no matter it seems who you are or what stage of life. It works within the body to fix you. I mean, it's extraordinary. What's your experience with ashwagandha?
So, I mean, obviously ashwagandha has been, I think it was first documented something like 6,000 years BC. So used in Ayurvedic medicine for a very, very long time. And just like, Ayurvedic medicine has a lot of, there's a lot of treatments, a lot of molecules out there, and this is one of the best performing. It's at the top of the pile. Obviously, it kind of regulates hormones. So cortisol is one of those very key stress. And this is what this product's all about. We also have Ltheanine in there. So there's a lot of scientific, which you find naturally in like green tea.
I wish I liked green tea. I just don't like it. I mean, everyone says, "Oh, have a nice cup of, green tea. You must be so into this because you're into matcha green tea." It just doesn't do it for me. I'm sorry. I want a nice cup of coffee or an Earl Grey with some milk in it.
Okay. Well, you get the benefits without having to drink the green tea. You can get the benefits. But back to the ashwagandha. Look, I think you only have to look at the American presidents from Bill Clinton to George W. Bush to Barack Obama to look at them before they started the presidency to afterwards, just to see what stress does to them.
Stress, extraordinary.
And I think the only exception to that is probably Donald Trump.
Maybe he's taking ashwagandha.
Maybe he's just not stressed. Maybe he's dealing with it in a different way.
Playing too much golf. Yeah.
Exactly. Probably going to bed at 9 o'clock. But so we know that stress has a huge indicator of aging. So there's I think before we've touched on these hallmarks of aging and like even sirtuin sort of activation, senescence and telomeres. These are all kind of buzzwords around aging where cortisol and can affect the aging process. Now, cortisol is something that in small quantities is quite good because obviously a little bit of stress can help you focus, right?
Yeah, it's good. Well, we need a little bit, don't we, actually? It's good for the immune system,
Yes.
a tiny bit of stress, which is why things like cold showers are so beneficial, because you get that little bit of stress.
Yep, high intensity. So even when you have like exercise, your cortisol levels go up, right? So your cortisol levels should be going down at night and like kind of peaking in the morning.
Right.
But obviously, if you're super stressed, it kind of works the other way around, and you end up waking up at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and your brain's buzzing, and then you're super tired, and so it kind of goes, So you kind of should follow your circadian rhythm.
Yeah.
And obviously, very high cortisol levels can impact, lots of health issues from diabetes to, increased weight. So it's super important. The studies around ashwagandha Ltheanine specifically around reducing cortisol, reducing stress, improving relaxation, they're very, very, very strong.
They're robust, aren't they? So
robust,
I know this is a new thing. So is this why you put the two together? So this is really interesting. This is ashwagandha and L-theanine.
Absolutely.
Both together.
Yeah.
And in fact, my boys, when they did their nutrigenomic tests, they were shown to need a bit more L-theanine to help with the stress and to help with sleep and anxiety, particularly Kit, who was at uni doing exams and, doing his A-levels and all of that, and he found it really, really helpful. So what is L-theanine? Is it a B vitamin?
No, L-theanine is an active ingredient that's found in green tea. So
so I can have this without drinking green tea. Love it.
Yeah, absolutely, exactly. Yeah. So it's just it's one of those kind of active ingredients that are found in green tea that helps with sort of stress and relaxation.
And I know that Devon Creator here is asking if you can do a test for cortisol, and I know you can because actually my ex, who gets very stressed, he did one, and he was telling me about it the other day, and he had to do a little cheek swab, I think, 4 times a day, so morning, noon, afternoon and night, and that tracks your cortisol, and his cortisol was shown to be peaking at night. So they're now trying to balance. Yeah. So absolutely, he's on L-theanine as well. Hopefully that will make a difference to reset the cortisol balance.
Absolutely, yeah. You need to take a saliva test because obviously, and you need to take it at different points of the day because we have the peaks and troughs, right? So, we were naturally going to have peaks and troughs throughout the day, but what you're trying to see is that you don't want these kind of elevated levels that we talked about earlier at night time.
And so when is the best time to take this? Do you know, this is going to be a premiere. I brought this bottle all the way from UK with me. I have not opened it. I have resisted the temptation. I'm opening it for the first time. It says it's coffee and vanilla flavour, which I'm so looking forward to. It smells great. It smells like coffee ice cream. And how much of this do I take?
A couple of teaspoons.
10 mils. Okay.
I take this around sort of 9 or 10 o'clock, like a couple of hours before you go to bed. Like I always think...
It's not going to send me to sleep, is it? Because I've got to record a podcast in a minute.
You might want to put your feet up afterwards. You never know. No, I don't think it will send you asleep, but certainly
nice.
I've noticed it's already helping with... Yeah, it's already helping with sleep and relaxation. And,
so this would be something for nighttime, before bed. So, because I also take magnesium at night. Could I take my magnesium with this?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
So a couple of hours, give it some time to kick in.
Great. Really, really good. Really, really good advice. And what is the ashwagandha doing? Because I know it's an adaptogen, and we've talked before here about adaptogens, about how the name, I guess the clues in the name adapt. It adapts to what you need. So if you need a little bit of a lift, a little bit of a kind of a mood boost, if you need a little bit of a calm down, it's one of those strange ingredients that seems to work in whatever way the body needs it.
Exactly. It's I always use the term adapt and counter. So,
what's that mean?
It just means that it kind of brings your body back into balance.
Right.
So if your cortisol levels are too high, it should bring them up. If they're too low, if they're too high, it should bring them down.
Yeah.
If they're too low, it should bring them up. So it kind of just tries to kind of bring the body, mind, and spirit back into balance.
Yeah, yeah. Go on.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, I was just going to say the active ingredient is something called the withinolide, withinolide A, which is the active ingredient in the ashwagandha that's responsible for supporting its functions. Because I think, as you mentioned before, it can also help. It's got a lot of other benefits as well. It can help with energy and power. It can balance other hormones as well.
Yeah. And it's a very interesting concept, isn't it? This whole kind of Ayurvedic like wholeness, because I think here with allopathic Western medicine, we're so used to one, synthetic extract treating one symptom, and that's it. That's the only way it works. Whereas so many of these plants that we're discovering now, things like saffron and turmeric and ashwagandha, they work across a whole myriad of different symptoms. And they work in different ways depending on what you need, So for somebody, it might really help reduce cortisol and calm them down. And for others, it might actually make them feel a little bit more cheerful and give them a lift. So it's really interesting. You kind of have to get your head around that, because it's a very different concept, isn't it, to Western medicine?
Yeah, absolutely. And we also use, I think we're going to be incorporating some more adaptogens into some products. So we also have like a nerve growth factor product, which is like a lion's mane mushroom.
Mushrooms, yeah.
And we're using some other adaptogens in that, like rhodiola and ginseng. So.
And how safe are these supplements? Because obviously a lot of people watching, they may be on other kinds of medication. They may be taking, thyroid drugs or, I don't know, all sorts, things that we've talked about here before, which, hopefully we won't take less of in the future. Are there many contraindications? How safe are they?
Well, look, ashwagandha's been around for, 7,000-8,000 years, right? So,
yeah, it's pretty well time-tested.
Yeah, exactly. They're natural, they're used, Ayurvedic medicine is one of the go-tos. Obviously, everyone's individual, right? So you need to kind of look at everyone's circumstances. And, of course, if you notice any funny reactions, stop taking it, speak to your doctor. But generally, from ashwagandha and L-theanine, there's little or no side effects. No,
I've certainly, when I was researching it, that was one of the things I was really keen to look at, and even quite high levels, they've done extensive clinical studies to show that, it's just, the body takes what it needs, and it doesn't seem to interact with anything. And, certainly for a lot of my audience who might be on HRT, for example, that's just natural hormones you're putting back into your body. It's not going to interact with anything else that you're taking. If anything, it can just work alongside and improve your hormonal health overall. It's really fascinating. This whole area that you with Youth and Earth are exploring, and I love your website. I love all your blogs, and I learn so much. I can spend hours on your website just learning. It's fascinating. Do you think we're going to get to a stage when we can kind of, almost not kind of live forever, but certainly live a whole lot longer than we've ever done before, by hacking in with some of these amazing ingredients?
I think the key is the quality of your lifespan, right? It's what you don't want is like a long period of, let's say, between your 50s and 70s, right? You're in morbidity. You've got like 2 or 3 ailments that are stopping you kind of enjoying your life and doing all the things you want to do. We know that obviously, as we get older now, we don't want to just sort of retire and switch off anymore.
No, you need to be able to be active and have cognitive function as well. You need your brain, your memory, and you don't want to go gaga.
Yeah, you want to be independent. You want to be agile. You want to have cognitive function. I think the key is it's not just about living longer, but it's about a little bit like Prince Philip, right? Lived a very active life, had a very short illness. and passed away, so he wasn't sitting there for 25 years with loads of ailments. So I think that's how I'd like to go, short and sweet.
Right at the end. I agree with you.
At the end of a very long innings, yeah.
I put something on my Twitter actually yesterday, I think it was. I was reading some studies, and it revealed that in the UK alone, there are 2 million older people who take 7 or more prescription medications every day.
Wow, yeah.
2 million people just in the UK, and I know this is a global audience, so there'll be many, many, many more around the world. 7 or more. I mean, how many pills are people taking, and what's it doing? And they're all interacting. You take one for this, and that actually gives you a side effect, so you have to take something else for that to counteract that. I mean, seriously, I would rather take 7 amazing supplements and feel incredible and actually not have any health issues.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's
I
terrifying.
think that's avoidable. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big believer of testing. You wouldn't drive a car with no dashboard, right? So, having an insight into your health, I think, is super important if you want to know what to take, when to take. And the thing is, I think sometimes when you go to the doctors, they don't really share the results with you, right? So you don't,
it's hard in an 8-minute appointment, isn't it? Often online.
That's right.
To get the information. And to be fair, GPs aren't trained in this. Anyway, I mean, this is, the whole area of functional medicine, as it's called. And I guess you work a lot with functional medics, don't you? Functional medicine doctors who are absolutely doing all of this.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. And I think, it's just tackling each problem as it comes along, right? And, so depending on what your main priority is, focus on that. And I still have things that I have, genetically high cholesterol that I have to manage, but I try and do that in a natural way, right?
Yeah.
Rather than take statins and have to continue to monitor, and it takes a while for it to come down. So,
Have you done any of the nutrigenomic testing? Have you looked at your gene expressions?
I haven't actually. No, I've done.
You should do that.
Yeah, I need to check it out. Absolutely.
It's so fascinating. This whole area of epigenetics and what we need. And that was one of the keys for me actually, because it showed that I block glutathione. And for me, the result was pretty instant. And actually, if you don't want to do the test, and they are expensive, you could just try some of your liposomal glutathione, take a spoonful at night and see how you feel when you wake up in the morning.
Exactly,
and if you know that you feel brighter. And when I was talking to Emma Bezic, who's got Life Code GX, that's her company, she was saying it's I think the single most common blocked gene that they see. They see about 30% of all their testers block glutathione and actually need to take it. And you're walking around with that all of your life and you don't know it.
Yeah, so I think it's the GSTM1 gene. So I think
Probably.
like a third of Caucasians, I think, have that gene missing. So it's probably in line with what she's seeing, right? Yeah.
That's amazing.
And you don't really know. And like you said, the thing with that gene is it only affects you later on in life. So you could be walking around with this deficiency, but it's actually as you start getting into your 60s and 70s that it starts kicking in. So. That's the thing with that gene. Yeah, there's a lot of studies out there. So if you look up that GSTM1 and you see the impact of having that gene missing as you get older.
Yeah, and I guess it makes sense because if we have all these things like NMN in our system as we in our youth, it's a bit like collagen. We have loads in our skin and in our bodies when we're younger. And we lose it just like we lose muscle mass at a scary rate every year.
Yeah.
So I guess you could say, we're living longer than ever. The average life expectancy not that long ago for women was like 60. And now it's, 83 or something. You know, that's a staggering difference, and yet we're living without all these natural ingredients that we had in our cells before. And is it any wonder that, you know, some people unfortunately become, you know, really quite decrepit, and degenerative diseases creep in, especially when you then look at what we're eating and the rise of ultra-processed foods and, you know, obesity rates and all of that. It's a real concern, isn't it?
Yes, I think you've got to take your health into your own hands, right?
I agree.
I think you've got to be proactive.
Yeah.
Find out what works for you. Realise that actually, you know, obviously when you're younger, you kind of, you know, dread getting older, but actually, you know, getting old actually could be quite enjoyable, and you know, you can carry on doing so many things, and you
it's
can
a
still,
gift.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got all the wisdom, and what you want now is the health to go with it. So
to enjoy it.
Yeah, you know,
totally.
invest in yourself. You know, be proactive. Don't just assume that you're, you know.
It's money so well spent. You know, health is wealth. I think if there's anything in the last 2 years that this pandemic has taught us, is, you know, you can't buy your way out of bad health. You know, I always use the example of Steve Jobs, who, you know, super brain, super wealthy, had access to virtually everything and more in Silicon Valley and beyond, couldn't save his own health. And, you know, that is priceless. You know, it just needs to be, we move it up the priority level. And it's not just about, you know, buying expensive supplements. It is about doing things like, you know, focusing on sleep, which is free, your water, your breathing, your time out, walking in nature, taking a walk in the park, you know, moving your body in whatever way you can.
Yes, keep driving the car, as I say, right? It's like, imagine if you left your car in the garage, it starts getting older and rusty. So you just want to keep moving, keep doing stuff, keep driving, you know, keep exercising, like look at your diet, you know, eat healthy. I mean, I've noticed as I've got older, like I've got more insulin resistant. So, you know, I stopped, you know, cutting out carbs. I mean, my body's changed. I never had these problems when I was in my 20s or 30s. Yeah. You know, it's only later on in life these things start. So these are back to these sort of pathways, you know, we're all different. You know, get tested, speak to a nutritionist or a doctor.
Do research. There's so many good websites. You know, yours is a really good starting point. You know, I think, and that's what we try and do at Earle Wellbeing. You know, we just try and fill the website with information and podcasts. And I know we've podcasted together, and you know, having the opportunity to drill down into all of these things and to find out ways to make life better and easier. And there's more knowledge coming out all the time. And you know, obesity is just such a big killer. And it is so stressing, you know, the NHS, when you look at type 2 diabetes, you look at heart disease, it's just shocking, you know, and that you walk into any hospital and the first thing that you're greeted with is a vending machine full of absolute rubbish.
That's true, that's absolutely true.
I mean, I don't understand how that can be allowed to happen. I mean, if I was Minister of Health, I mean, that would be the first thing to get banned.
Yeah, that's 100%. You know, I definitely don't want to end up in an NHS hospital. You know, I'll try and stay out for as long as possible.
And and the food. I know there's lots of people like Prue Leith, who've been campaigning to try and get better food quality in hospitals. I mean, you look at, I've seen on Instagram people posting pictures of what they get served, and I mean, it's just terrifying. Really terrifying.
Absolutely.
But go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you know, you take your health in your own hands. I mean, I think that's something that affected me, seeing my grandmother in hospital, you know, later in life. And, you know, I think that had a profound effect on me. And we know, you know, again, from these blue zones that you don't need, you know, there's people out there, you know, living very healthy, independent lifestyles.
I filmed out there. I mean, I went to Ikaria, which is this little Greek island, but this morning, and filmed extraordinary numbers of people, 100 years plus, and they were, running up mountains looking after their goats,
Absolutely.
and they were drinking natural red wine with lunch every day, and growing their greens to eat for supper every night. I mean, it was just extraordinary, and very little that they ate came out of a packet.
Yeah, so it's, a lot of vegetables, fish, red
olive
wine,
oil.
but also, olive oil. That's right. We're even seeing now that we're starting to understand that all these cooking oils are really bad for our heart.
Yeah, I was talking about that actually before we went online. So the seed oils seem to be so inflammatory. Things like sunflower, corn oil, safflower. What about things like rapeseed? Because that's a monounsaturated, so that's quite stable, isn't it, at high temperatures? But it's still a seed oil.
Yeah, I'm not an expert, but I think it's about the oxidation, of these oils once they start getting heated. And I know there's a lot of correlations between when these oils were introduced and general heart health in the population, right? The number of people that were struggling with high cholesterol, blood pressure, heart attacks. There's, can't remember the name of the product that was first introduced in the early 1900s, but
any kind of margarine, any trans fat, any hydrogenated fat is seriously bad news. And of course, very cheap. We're surrounded. In Kenya, it's really terrifying, actually, the amount of cheap margarine that is promoted everywhere, and the cooking oils and everything. And it's just like, oh my goodness, it's a really hard one. Here's a technical question for you here. This has just come up on Instagram. It said, just wondering if it's okay to take NR, I don't know what that is, instead of NMN. Not sure which one was more helpful for me, and that's from Silvana. What's she talking about then, NR?
So there's another, so basically there's two precursors to NAD, to nicotinamide riboside and nicotinamide mononucleotide.
Glad you said that.
So I think NR and NMN are very similar, but NMN has an additional kind of phosphate on it, like a chemical term. They kind of create NAD via different pathways.
Okay.
So sometimes some people prefer NR over NMN. It's a personal choice.
See which one you get on with better.
Both. But very similar.
What they're doing then is creating NAD.
Like cousins.
Okay, like cousins. They're creating NAD, is that right? So that's the ultimate goal. So when I take my little sachet here of NMN, I take that in my powder. I'll show it for anybody that hasn't seen it. I took mine this morning, so I won't take any more. But this is exactly what I take every day, first thing. There you go, a little scoopful of that under my tongue.
Absolutely.
That is creating NAD in my body, is that right?
That's right, exactly.
And what's the NAD doing?
That NAD, it's a carrier of energy, so it's just used in many, every living cell has NAD, so it's used in so many metabolic processes. ATP, which creates energy, uses NAD as fuel. So without NAD, you would basically drop down and die. So
I don't want that.
Exactly. That's the importance of it, and that's why discovering, last years we've discovered, the importance of it. So it's important to have it. Now, of course, occasionally, and I know you touched on this subject, if you have poor methylation, that can sometimes get in the way of creating your NAD, and that's another topic altogether.
Methylation.
I think you mentioned methylation is a very complex topic, but
it is. I will go there one day. I'm working up to it. I need to know a bit more personally first. So this is a very good question from Victoria here, saying, why don't you just take NAD then? Why would you take NMN instead? Why would you not go straight for NAD?
Because it's too large a molecule to enter the cell, and it's extremely unstable. So I think if it's kept outside of 2 degrees centigrade for any period of time, it would degrade. So it degrades very rapidly.
Okay.
doesn't enter the cell directly. So the only way of really creating it is by these precursors.
Very interesting. I'm glad we've got your brain that knows all about this, because otherwise, Devon Creator is saying, how long do you need to take it before you see results? I don't know which you're talking about there. I mean, with NMN, it's instant for me. I don't know. Is there a cumulative effect, or is it just a daily thing?
I think, it's a cumulative. We know that because we've got test kits that can test our NAD levels.
Oh, really?
Every testing is quite expensive. There's only a lab now in America that can do it. So,
right.
We have customers that go out and test that. I mean,
wow.
Again, we talk about bioavailability when we're talking about supplements. So certainly the powder seems to give you more of a direct, immediate kind of hit.
Yeah, well, it's straight under the tongue. It's going straight into your system, isn't it? Not even through the gut or anything.
Yeah, so exactly. So it's bypassing the gut, it's bypassing the liver, so it's metabolizing a lot quicker. The capsules will also be effective, but might take a little bit longer to see a result. But I would expect you to notice, within a month max. I mean, sometimes it's in days, in a week. Everyone's individual. I mean, trying to understand exactly why some people don't notice the effect. We've got some customers. We may send them out for some free NAD tests, because I think it's something to do with methylation, probably, or some sort of inflammation that's blocking the NAD.
Yeah, some gene expression is not working.
Yeah.
Interesting. Dr. Deb here is asking about liver damage. Unfortunately, she's been given the wrong prescription medication before, and she's using glutathione, which has certainly helped. I mean, glutathione is an amazing liver tonic, isn't it, as well as so many other things. Anything else that you could particularly suggest?
Well, we do have another product as well that could supplement. It's called Glynac, which is NAC and glycine. Which also can help as well.
Okay, so stuff on your website.
To glutathione.
Okay.
Yeah, they're more precursors to glutathione.
You're getting rave.
Oh,
Silymarin, absolutely. Yeah. The milk thistle. Yep. You're getting rave reviews, by the way, on with my Insta fam here for your customer service. Okay. Everyone's saying how lovely you are on, replying to customers and helping.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is really important. So in terms of efficacy, I've just taken my Ashwagandha and Earle Ltheanine. I am feeling very chilled, actually. I don't know whether it's just talking to you, Ed, or whether this is kicking in already. I'm just like, I'm very mellow. Is this something that you would take all the time, and how long before you would see a difference really with this?
I think I would use, if you've really got high cortisol levels, I think the easiest benchmark is how well you're sleeping. We talked about following the circadian rhythm, right? So, I would imagine that if you're now following this, starts to follow circadian rhythm, you're sleeping better, you're not waking up, your head's buzzing. Of course, you've always got to find the source of the stress, right?
Sure.
And, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
But as a general, I just had a house move, and I found that pretty stressful. And I noticed, elevated cortisol levels at night, and sort of thinking. But I would sort of say, if you're sleeping good, you're waking up fresh, that could be a good benchmark. And cut out the source of stress. Try and
try and eliminate it.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely, yeah. It's so a question here about taking it at night. So I think we said with the ashwagandha and the L-theanine to take it a couple of hours before bed.
I think so. I think I always recommend any kind of supplement, whether it's your magnesium, or if you take something else to help you sleep. Always give it some time to kick in, right? You kind of want to get in a relaxed state that it can. But I take it typically 1 to 2 hours before I go to bed.
Yeah. Question here from a guy. Nice to see you, Duncan, who says here, I have a question. Are there any supplements that my wife, who is breastfeeding, should avoid from the range? Or are there any that you think would help her with tiredness and stress, etc.? I know a lot of pregnancy and breastfeeding women do take ashwagandha. I was looking at studies on that recently, actually.
Yes, I mean, I will say it's not. I can't answer anything. I don't think there's, the NMN and NR, don't have a lot of studies on that subject, so I can't really say. I would have to sort of refer.
I don't want to put you on the spot there. Yeah, it's more for older people. I mean, hopefully your wife's got plenty of that in her anyway, as a younger woman. But really prioritizing stress and sleep. And I know that I've talked to the lovely founder Melanie at Bear Biology, who has an amazing range of fish oils, and she got into that with the DHA, particularly through postnatal depression and stress. And she's done a lot of work on breastfeeding and pre-pregnancy, pregnancy and postpartum. So Duncan, do take a look at the Bear Biology website, because that could also be really helpful. Thanks Duncan, thank you for your comment, it's really nice. Does ashwagandha need to be taken with food? Is there any reason? I mean, should you take supplements on an empty stomach or with food to help absorption?
With the liposomal kind of that takes away the need, because normally you take it with food, because again, due to bioavailability issues, you're trying to take it with some food to help improve the bioavailability or a fat. Right. But again, with the liposomal products, because they're kind of encapsulated in a fat that kind of mimics the natural cell membranes that you have, you don't need the liposomal products. You can just take them on their own, but of course you can take it with food. It's just a personal choice. Yeah,
but you don't need to with the liposomes. That's really good advice. Okay, so before we go, two things. I think anybody who is concerned about stress and balance and sleep, the ashwagandha and Ltheanine is going to be an absolute must try for sure.
100%,
so take a couple of hours before bed. Do let me know your feedback. I've literally had my very first spoonful today, so I'm super excited. And I have to say, I'm feeling very chilled. If you were going to pick one other thing, and I'm thinking about all the newbies here that haven't seen you before perhaps and haven't got into Youth and Earth, is there one thing that you think, would it be the liposomal glutathione? Would it be the NMN? Would it be the Resveratrol? If you're on a budget and you're thinking, right, I'm going to start with two things, perhaps one in the morning, one in the evening, and you've got your ashwagandha for the evening, what would you start with in the morning?
I think, if you're over 40, I would say the NMN for sure.
Yeah, that's my favourite.
I think that we have such a high strike rate with that. It's something,
I love it. I mean, it's expensive. You're costing me a fortune, I have you know.
Yeah.
Because I go on, I do use my Liz Loves.
Yeah.
And you'll see me as a customer on there. I mean, I come back, and there are very few things, I have to tell you, genuinely, over the years through working in wellbeing, there are very few things that I come back time and time again and I fork out for. Because I get sent so much stuff. I get sent loads of free stuff, and it's like, no, actually, I'm not going to have that. I'm going to go and buy this from Youth and Earth, because I know that my body responds better and I feel better for it, and that's an investment that I'm making in me. So 100%.
Look, we're gonna, we're launching a loyalty program.
Oh, good.
Soon, which you'll get additional discounts and stuff like that. And we'll be looking at seeing if we can bring down the price a little as well.
Well, you're very generous, I have to say, because not only do we get here a 20% discount, which is super generous, but it also works on your sale prices, and I know because I tried it the other day on your website.
Yeah, exactly. So we do all we can, So,
you really do, and we appreciate it. Okay, so those are for the over 40s, definitely NMN. For somebody younger, maybe, I'm thinking about my kids, Lily, she's 31. I've got teenagers, stressed out students. Brella's doing her finals at the moment. That they've obviously got lots of good, healthy stuff going on in their bodies. But if I want to give them a little bit of support for some extra energy, would you still go for NMN, or would you choose something else?
It's a good question, actually, because again, it's not really our target market.
No, you're after the oldies like me.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, kind of like everything we
You're not supposed to say yes, exactly. You're supposed to say, Liz, you're not old.
Liz, you're not old. Everything we do, really, because I just felt like when we created the company, there wasn't anyone speaking to, I'm nearly 50, so there wasn't people speaking to my age group, you know. So we really focus on, what is it that we're losing as we get older? Because I want people to take the supplements and see a result, right? I don't just want to,
not just take it for the sake of it.
Exactly. And obviously, when someone doesn't see a result, I take it to heart, so, and I'm like, okay, so.
Oh, I know, I've been there with my own products. If it doesn't work for somebody, it's really gutting. You want it to work always.
Yeah, it's gutting, I want it to work for everyone. That's why we don't launch lots of products. Yeah. And we really try and focus on the problems that you kind of get as you get older.
But I'm definitely, when I don't know if Brella will be watching this, but I'm definitely going to be giving her some of this.
Yeah,
I think the ashwagandha, for her stress, because her cortisol will be high, and the L-theanine, and I just remember Kit saying when he was doing his A-levels, and I was giving him L-theanine, that he just felt so much more relaxed and able to cope with his stress levels. Yeah. As a youngster, he was 18.
I mean, I'm just thinking of two other products that could help. Obviously, we've got this spore-based probiotic.
Oh, have you? Tell me about that. What is that?
So it's spore-based. So it's like kind of the bacteria you would get in soil.
Yes,
typically.
Love a bit of soil microbe. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So they're really, really hardy. They don't require refrigeration.
Right.
The bioavailability is super high. They're kind of like little seed pods that once they get into the small intestine, then they open up after 8 minutes and they kind of colonize and they kind of act like a little gardener in your gut.
Wow.
So they're spore-based. They're good. The nerve growth factor product, which is the lion's mane, which has some active ingredients of the actual erinacines that are very high, which help with nerve growth factor. We're going to come up with a new brain-derived neurofactor product, I think, which all helps with neuron plasticity.
Yes, I was looking at research, actually, lion's mane in terms of dementia and Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
Really interesting research going on into that, lion's mane.
Yeah.
Ed, I'm going to have to let you go. It's been absolutely fascinating. Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
And I know that you are highly available on your website and your social media to take questions and to answer specific queries from my community. And thank you again for your generosity. We really do appreciate it.
And Liz Loves 20, to take advantage of the Liz Loves.
Is it Liz Loves 20 or is it just Liz Loves?
Liz Loves.
It's just Liz Loves, isn't it? All in capitals. That's what I used. But it does get you 20% off.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you. Come back and chat again soon. I could talk to you all day. It's really good stuff.
Cheers.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Bye.
You're going to have to click off me, otherwise I click everybody off. Oh my goodness. I'm so pleased that we managed to get Ed, and I'm sorry for those of you who joined at the correct time in the UK of 12:30 and thought, oh my goodness, what am I missing? I did actually get my time zones wrong. I blame my own inefficiency. I was a bit stressed because my Wi-Fi went down, which is why I'm in my friend's office here in downtown Nairobi to get some Wi-Fi. So I'm glad it all worked, and I'm glad that you were all able to join. And of course, if you want to watch it from the beginning, these all get saved. Okay, so if you're on Instagram, you can go on to the IGTV lives. You can find them with the little button. Rachel's been so good at kind of creating or curating rather all the content so that you can find stuff really easily. Go and take a look at how she's been rejigging the Instagram page. It's really, really good resource. And obviously on Facebook, you can still find us chronologically in the timeline, and the same on YouTube as well. We don't delete them. They stay up forever. Very, very nice to see you. Thank you for all your questions. It's been lovely to be so interactive today. Just a couple of things before I go. I have actually written a deep dive into ashwagandha. So that's what we were talking about with Youth and Earth, the ashwagandha with L-theanine. It's phenomenal. I had to kind of stop myself from writing what was turning into like a 4-page advert for ashwagandha, because there was just so much good information about it, and I was trying to find some bad stuff to counterbalance, and I couldn't find any. It's really fascinating, and if you want to make sure that you see that, we will be mailing out the brand new copy of Earle Wellbeing magazine. So exciting. And that starts, I think, next week. It's just going to print right now. So I don't think it's going to go in time for Brella to bring me an early copy. I think I'm going to have to wait for somebody else to come out to Kenya and put one in their suitcase for me. But you guys, if you're subscribed, should all be receiving it fairly soon. So make sure that you're subscribed. If you're not subscribed yet to Earle Wellbeing magazine, where have you been living? There's a very, very good subscription gift at the moment. We have a few of these left. It's worth £25 from Percy and Reed. It's the Strengthening Scalp Concentrate. Men and women, really, really good for thinning hair, hair health, all of the follicular activity that we need to get to grips with. So do please go and grab that before it runs out. But if you want to get the next issue of the magazine in print, sent, free P&P in the UK, plus your subscription gift, plus there's a special offer where if you, I think you sign up for 6 issues and you get 1 free. So it's a really, really good deal. Okay, so if you sign up now, then you will make sure that you get the next issue, which will be coming out to you very soon. And it could just be for you, or it could be a subscription gift if you want to share it. Think about it. We've got Mother's Day coming up, we've got Easter gifts, so much healthier than a commercial chocolate egg. Anyway, on that note, I shall leave you. Thank you very, very much. So, you've subscribed and you're waiting for your gift. The gift comes separately, okay? Gift comes separately. It doesn't come with the magazine. Magazine, whoomp, comes straight away from the printers, and the gift usually takes a couple of weeks to come separately. And you can either have it sent to you, or if you're doing a gift subscription, you can have the gift sent to the person who's getting the magazine, or you can have the gift sent to you. Just need to let Warners know. Okay, Warners are the company that do all our magazine subscriptions. They're brilliant. They're based in the UK. You can ring them up. They've got lovely people at the end of the phone, or there's an email contact on the Earle Wellbeing website. So if you've got any issues at all with your subscription, if you want to check that it's still valid, it's still going to give you your next issue, if you want to check on your gift status, all of that, do please get in touch with them, either email or on the phone. They are extremely good. Thank you. Nice to see you all. Thank you so much. What face foundation am I wearing? Do you know, I am wearing an old one, which I found in my makeup bag here. I think it's a Touche Eclat. It's the Yves Saint Laurent Touche Eclat foundation. You know, they do the little sticks for covering up blemishes, and they also make a foundation, which Kerry September gave to me. And I don't tend to wear it every day. It's quite pricey. But if I'm doing any work in front of a camera, then I tend to wear it for that. So thank you. Nice to see you. I'll be back with you live, all being well, fingers crossed, live on Tuesday. I hope you listened to the podcast that was with Dr. Michael Mosley. That went live yesterday, if you're watching me in real time. That was on Wednesday. And tomorrow, I've got a really lovely podcast with Tim Samuels, who's the founder of Calm Assist. And he is joining me on my Friday 5 podcast, which I'm about to go and finish off. Actually, I'm recording it now. I've got my microphone here, which I need to plug in and get going with. And also, actually, as a special, don't often do this, but it's a really interesting subject. I've got an extra live, pop it in your diary now, on Saturday. So if you're watching in real time, Saturday, the day after tomorrow, I will be back with you, 12:30 UK time, as long as I get my times right. And I'm going to be talking more about keto, and in particular things like butterfat keto, bulletproof coffee, all of that. I'm so looking forward to that. I think it's such an interesting area. Again, a little bit of biohacking, simple things that we can do every day to lose weight, to improve our mood, energy, help us sleep better, get better gut health, all of that stuff, particularly for midlife and beyond. And that is going to be on Saturday. So an extra live here on Earle Wellbeing. So I hope to see you then. Thank you very much for joining me and sending big hearts back to you. I can see all the hearts coming on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you. See you again very soon. Bye-bye.